It was not the peaceful kind. It was the kind that presses against your ears and makes your heart listen harder than it should. I was standing in the hallway of my own house, holding my phone in my hand, staring at a paused CCTV screen, and I had the strange feeling that someone was watching me, even though I was alone. I told myself I was imagining things. That was my mistake. My name is Emily Carter. I am 29 years old, and until a few weeks ago, I believed I understood the people in my life. I believed love was simple. I believed family meant safety. And I believed that danger always came from strangers, never from the people who smiled at you every day. I was wrong. I live with my younger sister, Lily. She is 24, emotional, hopeful, and the kind of person who trusts too easily. After our parents died in a car accident 6 years ago, it became just the two of us. I raised her. I protected her. I promised myself that nothing bad would ever touch her again. That promise still burns inside me. Lily recently got engaged to a man named Ryan. She met him at work. He was confident, well-spoken, and charming in a way that made people listen when he talked. When Lily first told me about him, her eyes were shining. She laughed more. She smiled at her phone. She felt safe. When I met him, he shook my hand firmly and looked straight into my eyes. "You must be Emily," he said. "Lily talks about you all the time." That should have made me feel good. Instead, something in his stare made my stomach tighten for just a second. I ignored it. Ryan started coming over often. At first, everything felt normal. He brought flowers. He helped Lily with groceries. He complimented the house. He was polite to me, respectful, careful with his words. If someone asked me what was wrong with him, I would have said, nothing. But unease does not announce itself loudly. It whispers. I began to notice small things. Ryan asked questions that felt unnecessary. What time did I leave for work? Did I come home late often? Which room was mine? Did I lock my door at night? He asked with a smile, always casually, always when Lily was not listening. Just making conversation, I told myself. Then one evening, Lily laughed and said, "Ryan says you're very private." I forced a smile. "Am I?" "Yes," she said. "He says you don't share much." That was true. After losing our parents, I learned to keep my thoughts locked inside. Privacy was my armor. I did not like the idea of someone studying it. A few days later, something strange happened. I came home earlier than usual. The house was quiet. Lily was at work. Ryan's car was not outside. I went to my room, changed my clothes, and sat on the bed when I noticed my desk drawer slightly open. I always closed it. Inside that drawer was nothing important. Old notebooks, receipts, random things. Still, my heart skipped. I checked inside. Everything seemed normal. I told myself I was being paranoid. That night at dinner, Ryan looked at me and said, "You came home early today." I froze for half a second. Yes, I replied carefully. I wasn't feeling well. He nodded slowly. That makes sense. Something in his tone made my skin crawl. After that, the feeling grew stronger. I would catch him watching me when he thought I wasn't looking. Sometimes, when I entered a room, his phone screen would go dark too quickly. Other times, I felt like he knew things I had never told him. The worst moment came one night when Lily was asleep. I walked into the kitchen for water and saw Ryan standing there in the dark, his phone in his hand. He turned when he heard me. Couldn't sleep, he asked. No, I said, you. He smiled, just thinking. About what? I wanted to ask. Instead, I went back to my room and locked the door. That was the night I decided to check the CCTV. Our house had cameras installed after a break-in years ago. We rarely checked them. They were just there, like silent guards everyone forgot about. Until now, I opened the app on my phone and scrolled through the footage. At first, everything looked normal. Empty rooms, shadows moving as lights changed. Then I reached a clip from 2 days earlier. The front door opened. Ryan entered. Alone. Lily was not home. I watched, holding my breath, as he walked inside. Instead of sitting in the living room, he went straight down the hallway, toward my room. My fingers trembled as I zoomed in. He stopped in front of my door. He looked around. Then he tried the handle. It was locked. He stood there for a moment, staring at the door. Then he leaned closer, as if listening. My chest felt tight. I skipped forward. Ryan moved to the camera near the hallway, and then he looked directly into it, directly at me. A slow smile spread across his face. I dropped the phone. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break my ribs. I picked the phone back up and paused the video. My hands were shaking. This was not normal. This was not love. This was not safe. The next morning, Lily was excited. She talked about wedding colors, guest lists, and future plans. I watched her, my stomach heavy with fear. I wanted to tell her everything. But how do you tell your sister that the man she loves might be watching you? How do you break her heart without proof? That afternoon, Ryan came home early again. He smiled at me and said, Emily, you've been quiet lately. I forced myself to look calm, just tired. He stepped closer, too close. You know, he said softly, we're going to be family soon. No secrets. My blood ran cold. That night, I checked the cameras again, and this time, I saw something that made my fear turn into certainty. Ryan was not just watching. He was planning, and whatever he was planning involved me. I did not know it yet, but this was only the beginning, the kind of beginning that changes everything. I did not sleep that night. Every small sound felt louder than it should have. The soft hum of the refrigerator, the ticking clock on the wall, even the wind outside made my heart jump. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the CCTV footage again and again in my mind. Ryan standing outside my door. Ryan listening. Ryan smiling at the camera. I kept asking myself one question. Why? What did he want from me? In the morning, I pretended everything was normal. I woke up early, made coffee, and acted calm. Lily came into the kitchen, smiling like always, talking about her wedding dress ideas. Ryan joined us soon after. He looked relaxed, confident, as if nothing strange had ever happened. I watched him carefully now. When he laughed, I noticed how his eyes didn't change. When he smiled, it didn't reach his face. He touched Lily's hand gently, but his gaze kept drifting toward me. "You look tired, Emily," he said. "I didn't sleep well," I replied. He nodded slowly. "You should be careful. Lack of sleep can make people imagine things." My stomach tightened. Was that a warning? After breakfast, Lily left for work. Ryan stayed behind. "I'll head out soon too," he said. "Just need to grab something." I waited in the living room, pretending to scroll through my phone, while every part of me stayed alert. Ryan walked down the hallway, toward my room. I stood up immediately. "Ryan," I said loudly, "that's my room." He stopped and turned around with an innocent smile. "Oh, sorry. I thought it was the bathroom." The bathroom was in the opposite direction. "That's okay," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. He watched me for a second longer than necessary, then nodded and walked away. The moment he left the house, I locked my bedroom door and sat on the bed, shaking. I knew then that I couldn't stay silent anymore. That evening, I tried to talk to Lily. She was folding clothes on the couch, humming softly. "Lily," I said carefully, "has Ryan ever made you uncomfortable?" She looked up, surprised. "What? No. Why would you ask that?" I chose my words slowly. "Does he ever ask strange questions? About me? About the house?" She laughed. "You're overthinking. He just wants to know the family he's marrying into." "Does he come here when you're not home?" I asked. Her smile faded a little. "Sometimes. Why?" My heart started racing. "Did he tell you when?" She shook her head. "No, but he doesn't have to. He's my fiance." I wanted to scream. Instead, I swallowed my fear. "I just want you to be careful," I said. She frowned. "Emily, you don't like anyone getting close to us. I know you're trying to protect me, but Ryan is not a threat." Not a threat. That night, I checked the cameras again. I focused on the days Lily was at work. Ryan came to the house more often than she knew. He walked through rooms slowly, carefully, as if memorizing everything. He stood in the hallway outside my door more than once. Once, he even knelt down near the camera angle, adjusting something. The next day, I noticed the camera near my room wasn't working. That was when fear turned into panic. Someone knocked on my door that afternoon. It was Mrs. Daniels, our elderly neighbor. She smiled kindly. "Dear, can I ask you something?" "Of course," I said. "I saw Lily's fiance late last night," she said quietly. He was sitting in his car across the street. For a long time, my throat went dry. Did he say anything? No, she replied. He was just watching the house. That night, I locked myself in my room again. I pushed a chair under the door handle. My phone was charged. I kept the lights on. Around midnight, I heard footsteps. Slow, careful. Someone stopped outside my door. I held my breath. The handle moved slightly. I did not scream. I did not move. Minutes passed. Then footsteps walked away. The next morning, Lily was cheerful again. Ryan kissed her forehead before leaving. "Sleep well?" he asked me. "No," I said honestly. He smiled. "That's a shame." I knew I needed help. That afternoon, I took screenshots of the footage that still worked. I saved everything to a hidden folder and sent copies to my email. I started writing down dates and times. Ryan noticed. "You're very busy lately," he said one evening. "Work," I replied. He leaned closer. "You know, Emily, curiosity can be dangerous." I looked him straight in the eyes. "So can secrets." For a moment, his smile disappeared. That was the moment I knew. Ryan knew that I knew. And he wasn't scared. He was waiting. The next few days were unbearable. Every knock, every car passing by, every shadow made me jump. I barely slept. I barely ate. I watched Ryan through the cameras, nodding every step, every movement, trying to anticipate what he might do next. But the more I watched, the more I realized this was not just obsession. This was something far more calculated, far more dangerous. I started digging, not recklessly, but carefully, quietly. I needed proof, real evidence, something Lily couldn't ignore, something undeniable. I checked public records, looked into his social media, his friends, anything that could hint at his past. At first, nothing unusual appeared. He had a clean record. He had references from work. Everyone said he was charming, polite, perfect. But charm is a mask. That evening, while Lily was out, I followed Ryan as he left the house, pretending to be taking a walk. He drove to a part of the city I didn't know well, a quieter, dimly lit street lined with old warehouses. He parked, stepped out, and waited. I stayed hidden behind a tree across the road, keeping my distance, heart hammering in my chest. I watched as a man in dark clothing approached his car. They spoke quietly, almost in whispers. I couldn't hear the words, but Ryan handed over a thick envelope. The man nodded, counting money, and then handed something back. A small, black device. Something electronic, small enough to fit in a pocket. I didn't understand what it was, but I knew it wasn't normal. Not for a young man in a corporate job. Not for a fiance. I went home trembling. I tried to focus on the cameras inside, but my hands shook too much. I felt sick, panicked, but more than anything, I felt terrified for Lily. She had no idea what kind of man she was falling in love with. The next morning, I decided to confront him indirectly. I tried subtle questions. "Ryan, what do you do at work exactly? Do you travel a lot?" He smiled, but it was different this time. His charm had an edge. "Yes, sometimes. Why do you ask?" "Just curious," I replied. He leaned back in his chair, studying me. "Curiosity can get dangerous, Emily." I froze. My heart skipped. That was not a warning. That was a threat. Days passed, and the tension grew unbearable. I started sleeping with my phone under my pillow, always ready to call the police if needed. I installed a few extra cameras in places I could watch, places he didn't know existed. Every night, I reviewed the footage, looking for patterns, looking for proof. Then one night it happened. I woke up at 2:17 a.m. to the sound of the front door creaking. My heart froze. I could hear soft footsteps, careful, deliberate. I grabbed my phone and slowly turned on the flashlight. In the hallway, Ryan stood. His eyes were cold, calculated. He didn't say a word. He just looked at me, and I realized something terrifying. He wasn't here to talk. He wasn't here to reason. He was here for something else. I ran to my room, slammed the door, locked it, pushed a chair under the handle, and grabbed my phone to call Lily. But my hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. Before I could dial, he knocked. Slowly, deliberately. "Emily," he said softly, almost whispering, "I know you've been watching me." I don't know what you mean," I stammered. He chuckled, but it was not a friendly laugh. It was a cold, chilling sound. "Don't lie. I saw the cameras. I know everything." My blood ran cold. I'm not trying to hurt you," I whispered. He smiled again, but it didn't reach his eyes. "It's too late for that." I realized then that he had been planning this all along. Not just watching, not just stalking. He had a goal, and I was in the middle of it. That night, I stayed awake, listening to every sound, praying that Lily would come home soon. Every knock, every movement made my heart jump. I was trapped in my own house, and the person I thought I could trust most had turned into the biggest threat of my life. The next morning, I decided I couldn't wait any longer. I had to act. I had to find proof that Lily couldn't ignore, or else it would be too late. I went back to my hidden cameras, reviewing every moment, every visit Ryan made. That's when I noticed it. A small black case he carried every time. He hid it carefully, always under his coat. I didn't know what was inside, but it felt dangerous. I knew I needed help. I called a private investigator. Someone discreet. Someone who could confirm what I suspected. I couldn't risk the police yet. I couldn't risk Ryan knowing I had taken the next step. "Emily," the investigator said over the phone, "send me all the footage and the notes you have. I'll look into him. Don't confront him yourself. It's dangerous." I hung up, my hands shaking, but I felt a little relief. I wasn't completely alone. That night, Ryan came over again. Lily was still at work. He smiled at me, leaning closer than ever. "You look tense," he said. "I've been working," I replied, trying to stay calm. He tilted his head, studying me. You're hiding something. I knew then that my secret was at risk, that if he ever found out I had called an investigator, I could be in real danger. But I also knew I had no choice. The moment I realized that, a cold, sharp fear settled in my chest. Because this wasn't just about trust or love anymore. This was about survival. And I knew if I didn't act fast, Ryan might decide I was the problem to solve before Lily even realized the truth. The next morning, I barely slept. My mind was racing, spinning with the footage, the black case, and Ryan's strange behavior. I couldn't shake the feeling that he knew more than I realized, that he was always one step ahead. I had to act carefully. One wrong move and everything could fall apart. I waited until Lily left for work. As soon as she stepped out, I checked the hidden cameras and reviewed the footage one more time. That small black case Ryan always carried, I had to know what was inside. I had to confirm my suspicions before things went further. He arrived exactly at the time he usually did. Calm, smiling, pretending nothing was wrong. He leaned against the counter and watched me as I tried to focus on my tasks.